Raider Nation, what's going on? Today's show is presented by Manscaped. And if you want to make sure that your balls look great, go to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. Yo, we got some breaking news here bright and early on this Tuesday morning. The Las Vegas Raiders have cut 3 players from their roster, which means that they can sign one more, and if they do, we might be going wild here on the Raiders Report. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you got those notifications turned on. The first player that was released early this morning was tight end O.J. Howard, and I thought this was an interesting move considering the fact of when the Raiders signed Howard this offseason, I thought he was going to be the tight end 3, behind Michael Mayer, behind Austin Hooper, but point blank, flat out, this organization, McDaniels and Ziegler, they love themselves some Jesper Horsted. And Horsted put on about 15 pounds in the offseason and has really taken advantage of the opportunities because Howard has struggled with a lot of injuries. And plain and simple, Howard was behind Horsted. So now you got Michael Mayer, who I'm telling you right now, he looks like a really massive human being. And even though Howard is a lot bigger than Horsted at 6'6", 251 pounds, and is a better blocker, the Raiders like Horsted's ability to be a red zone option. They believe in him and the fact that he did add that extra weight to potentially block. But what this Raiders organization wants is somebody that they can rely on for all 17 games. And really, if you were to ask me who's more likely to play 17, Horsted or Howard as your tight end 3, I'm going to roll the dice here with Horsted. But no doubt about it, I am surprised by this move. So let me know down in the comments section right now. This is actually going to be the pinned comment on today's show. What is your one-word reaction when you heard the news about the Las Vegas Raiders cutting O.J. Howard? My one-word reaction is surprised. And I was surprised that they went this route this early because the Raiders didn't need to make this move as early as they did. Now I get it. The first day of padded practices is here, and the Raiders probably want to weigh out some of their other options. But I did think that Horsted was good. I just thought O.J. Howard fit a little bit more with what this Raiders organization was trying to do. But then again, maybe they saw something that they didn't like with Howard. Another move that the Raiders made right now was the Raiders cut offensive lineman Justin Murray. And Murray was signed this offseason to this roster, and he only played in 1 game last year. But really, the Raiders liked him because of his versatility at offensive tackle and at guard. But the biggest reason that screams out to me why they decided to move on from Murray today is because Justin Herron was cleared last week, and Justin Herron was traded for by the Raiders. And remember, he used to be a member of the New England Patriots. So if anything I have gathered from them moving on from Murray, it's they believe that Haran is ready to continue to practice and move forward. Another move that the Raiders made today at linebacker, they're going to cut Kana'i Mauga. And some of y'all are probably like, who the hell is Kana'i Mauga? He's really somebody who's not gotten a lot of playing time here. He's been on this Raiders roster for about a half a year at this current point. But the reason why the Raiders decided to move on from Mauga is because late last night, they went out and they signed former Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Darius Harris. And I broke that down in lengths yesterday, so if you want to go check out that video, please go and do so. But last season for Kansas City, he played in all 17 games. He started in 4, really just a special teams player, but a UDFA guy back in 2019. My one-word reaction to the Raiders signing Harris was challenge. What do the Raiders want to do? They want to have a lot of challenge, and they want to have a lot of competition in that Raiders locker room during training camp. Why? Challenges, competition gets the best out of your players. I'm not sitting up here saying Harris is going to make the 53, but he is going to bring that competitive advantage, and it probably doesn't hurt that he was a member of the Chiefs. So maybe we can get a little bit of an inside scoop on Kansas City. Now, hey, man, if you haven't already, this is the summer, and I want your cannonballs to look A frickin' plus, and if they don't, it's probably because you don't got your hands on the performance package. Point blank simple. And anytime I talk about Manscaped, I get a few Raider fans that are like, dude, you know how hard it is for me to not picture your balls when you talk about them? I want you to picture this, freshly shaven. Alex and I went out for dinner last night, used some Manscaped, I didn't have dessert at the restaurant, but I got some when I got home. Why? I use Manscaped. So go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping. I'm just here to help all y'all out, and Manscaped's also here to help you out, so that way you don't get cut like O.J. Howard. Let's continue to talk about the former tight end here of the Silver and Black. Howard at 6'6", last season, 10 catches, 145 yards. One of the reasons why he was brought in, I think, off the jump, was this Raiders team is always going to look at connections. Former, I guess, Patriot Nick Caserio, now general manager of Houston, probably told McDaniels and Ziegler, hey, this guy's going to be able to come in. He's going to be able to compete. The other thing, though, is they also value Horsted and his relationships from years past. In 2021, Horsted was a member of the Chicago Bears. The Raiders' assistant to Dave Ziegler, Champ Kelly, was also previously with Chicago when he came over last season. He brought Horsted with him. So when you woke up this morning, this is what the Raiders' tight end room looked like. You got Austin Hooper, Michael Mayer, and really, I might have to switch up this graphic because it's like tight end 1A, tight end 1B. Mayer and Hooper are going to get a lot of work. Howard, I really did think, was going to be the 3. Well, guess what? Snap of a finger and do the stand. You can do it all by yourself. Here's the Raiders' tight end depth chart. Hooper, Mayer, and Horsted. Cole Fotheringham, interesting player. The UDFA out of Auburn and Schnenker, they're just going to continue to get the work in during the preseason, but this Raiders team to me now has solidified the idea that they are only going to be keeping 3 tight ends on this roster, and that's going to be Austin Hooper, Michael Mayer, and Jesper Horsted. Another move that the Raiders made this morning was they re-signed quarterback Chase Garbers. Garber was a UDFA from California last season and predominantly was on the Raiders practice squad, got some reps in last season during the preseason. And now they bring him back. He's going to be the 4th quarterback on this roster. I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo's been struggling. There's reports out there that Hoyer and O'Connell have been struggling a little bit. This has absolutely, positively nothing to do with that. I was on this show probably 2 weeks ago, and I was told by a source that you're not really going to see Garoppolo. You're not going to see Brian Hoyer during the preseason. You're going to see Aiden O'Connell, and you're going to see Chase Garbers. They don't want either of those players injured or potentially not healthy enough to practice because I believe McDaniels and Ziegler value practice, which is where Garoppolo and Hoyer are going to be used, far more than what they get out of the preseason, right? So for that reason, that's why I do believe Chase Garbers ended up coming back. Again, I already talked about Darius Harris here a little, but the Raiders did end up signing him late last night to add some of that extra competition to the linebacker room. But the reason why the Garbers move is interesting, the Harris move is interesting, is I'm not a mathematician. You cut 3, you add 2, which means you can have 1 player that is added to this roster. I'm curious to see which route McDaniels and Ziegler end up going here in terms of who are they going to bring in. There's a lot of unknowns, there's no doubt about it. Now, we're going to do a quick little recap here before I bounce out, and if you don't already know, I'm going to be live on the Raiders Report probably at like 4 p.m. Eastern time today because we're going to end up doing a Madden simulation against the Kansas City Chiefs, so hopefully y'all tune in. But the news that made me make this video, O.J. Howard released by the Silver and Black. This is very good news for Jesper Horsted, who now is going to be entering his 4th year in the NFL. The former wide receiver out of Princeton now turned to tight end, who's probably up to like 245, 250 pounds. Good opportunity for him to make the 53-man roster. So before I head on out of here, I got a question for you. Type your Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. Will Jesper Horsted make the Raiders roster? For me, I got to type my Y for yes. This one's for Just Win Babies. Believe it, baby.